Imagine the scene. The Commissioner for Police at Scotland Yard is asking his crew if they can suggest an advisor to chair the official advisory body to deal with the Hamas-Israel conflict in respect of protests that might be happening in London. And one of the people seated round the table says, yeah, we've got the very man. He's called Atiq Malik and he is a respectable solicitor. And the commissioner says, that's great, sounds good, OK, make him the chair of our official advisory body. Now, does anyone have any suggestion for the chair of the advisory body on laboratory safety? And somebody else pipes up, yep, I've got him too. Oh, yes? What's his name? He's called Anthony Fauci. And I'm Granniopteryx. OK, so this is the story. It says here, Met police advisor led from the river to the sea chant. Now, if you are not aware of what this means, they're referring to Israel. On the east side of Israel is the Jordan River, and on the west side is the Mediterranean Sea. So when you say from the river to the sea, you're not talking about Gaza or the West Bank or both. What you are talking about is the whole country of Israel. And by free, they mean free of Jews. But it's not only Jews, of course, free of Arabs who used to be Israeli citizens because they would be considered traitors, and probably free of odds and ends like Christians and Druze as well, whatever. Anyway, it is a genocidal chant, and this guy who chairs the official advisory body for Scotland Yard was filmed chanting this chant. That's not very good English. A hard left activist. So he's a hard left activist as well. I don't know about that. That's what the Telegraph calls him. I wouldn't say that's what he was, actually, because I don't know. But if anyone knows any more about him, be free. By all means, let me know. So, he was filmed leading chants of From the River to the Sea at a pro-Palestinian rally. It was, I don't know whether it was a rally, it looks like a meeting. Here I have the video. I'll play it to you. And I'm Granniopteryx, interrupting myself to remind you to click the like button. That's quite important, doesn't cost you anything and helps this video and my channel. All the links to my other channels are in the description, so maybe you should pay attention to them because you never know with YouTube, do you? There are also links to donation sites. I'm very happy to get donations, of course, and a few of you have been really generous this week, and thank you very much. But clicking like is the best thing for this video and helps it circulate more, so I'd appreciate that too. OK, back to the Met.
Free! Free! So what's going on out there, people? What is actually happening? You go on BBC, ITV, do we see any of this? Do we see any of this? No, we don't. You know, you watch Sky News, do we see this? No. Even on social media, what we're seeing is when posts are going up on Insta, LinkedIn, Facebook, they're getting deleted. Why is that? What's going on? What's going on is global censorship.
Just a minute. He is complaining about posts shouting from the river to the sea being deleted. All right. And here we have his answer for that.
By the Zionists. Global censorship to silence us. And this is where us standing here today is so important, because the message we're sending out is that we will not be silenced. Say it. We will not be silenced. We will not be silenced. We will not be silenced. There is no justice. There is no justice. justice. There is no justice. There is no justice. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea.
Okay, so this is that chap, the good-looking chap in this photo, isn't he? Look at that. But he is, well, you can see, he's a rabble-rouser. This is not somebody who's interested in conciliation, and asking him to advise the Met Police on how to deal with two groups of people that might meet and clash. Supporters of Israel and supporters of Hamas. I mean, what side do you think he'd advise them to be on? Now we know why the Met Police were rebuffing people's complaints that people in these some of the people in some of these demonstrations were calling out jihad, and why the Met Police were sort of mumbling, well, you know, jihad means a few different things. They probably got it from him or the likes of him, because we don't know how many other committees they've set up, do we? Atiq Malik, a solicitor who has also railed against global censorship by the Zionists, was present in the police operations room during protests last month. And a video uncovered by the Telegraph, good old Telegraph, one of the few real newspapers left, I think, shows Mr. Malik instigating chants of "From the River to the Sea" in 2021. A slogan described by Downing Street as deeply offensive to many. I'd say it is. The disclosure of his role is likely to further embarrass the Metropolitan Police. How can you embarrass a group that is incapable of embarrassment in any way? So I don't know why the Telegraph invests them with this useful characteristic. After weeks of criticism of the force's handling of protests at which officers took no action in response to calls for jihad. It comes after the Telegraph revealed last week that Mohammed Kosbar, a prominent mosque chairman who praised the founder of Hamas, has been advising the Crown Prosecution Service as part of a scrutiny panel on hate crime. Yes, so this would be the sort of person who would tell the police that, well, going after little girls isn't so bad, but complaining about Palestinian flags draped all the way along a certain road, that's a hate crime. And of course, as we know, hate crimes are a lot worse than, well, that word that I can't say, but it begins with R and ends with E, and it has two letters in the middle. The CPS is now understood to be carrying out an urgent review of the panel's membership. How did these guys get there in the first place? I mean, the police, the Crown Prosecution Service, they have all sorts of access to all sorts of information about everybody. I'm sure if they wanted to run a check on me, they'd know everything about my life from my birth certificate onwards. And they couldn't find the histories, the background, the public announcements of these people. It's just, I'm sorry, mind-boggling. Ministers have urged regulators to crack down on extremist and hateful remarks by doctors, nurses, charities and academics. And it says here the Met said 11 arrests were made at a pro-Palestinian protest in central London on Saturday. Now, I am not calling for more people to be arrested if they don't deserve it, but 11 arrests. There were thousands of people there and they arrested 11. This newspaper can reveal that Mr. Malik is chairman of London Muslim Communities Forum, which is described on a dedicated page of the Metropolitan Police website as a strategic advisory body for the Met. Among its formal objectives are to inform and help shape police policy and procedure at a strategic level. Mr. Malik's position as chairman of the body is not publicised by the Metropolitan Police. That means they don't tell anyone. And then it is understood that the Metropolitan Police does not routinely vet advisors. That's like you going to the bank and asking for advice on taking out a mortgage, and some person walks in and sits down and gives you advice without telling you what they are. Could be the janitor. You've no idea. And would you actually ask for whoever was giving you advice on what sort of experience they had, what sort of qualifications? Yeah, well, apparently, Met Police believes in taking people at their word. Are you a good advisor? Yes. Oh, well, then, that's all right. Advise me. Tell me what to do. Tell me jihad can mean all sorts of things. It doesn't matter if you're screaming it out loud, holding a black banner in the middle of the street, along with thousands of your pals. Yeah, that's okay. Mr. Malik has been involved in a series of legal cases against police forces, including the Metropolitan Police. He has also repeatedly called for Prevent, the government's counter-extremism scheme, to be scrapped. Well, Prevent is one of those situations where I think a teacher seeing one of the Muslim kids, it's mostly Muslim kids, I suppose, in school, doing drawings of cutting Jewish throats or whatever, will report him to Prevent, and Prevent will send psychologists round and tell him to do I don't know what, jigsaw puzzles which have peace symbols on them. I have no idea what they do. They are supposed to help guide children, young adults, into a better way of thinking about the world. Well, I don't think Prevent has been, I think, what was the name? Jihadi John. I think he was a Prevent graduate as well. So I can see an objection, well, not an objection. I can see a reason to think that Prevent doesn't do any good. But for some reason, I don't think, somehow I have the impression that Mr. Malik did not have that particularly in mind, but more the idea that any Muslim should be targeted for reprogramming in any way, just in case it works. The Metropolitan Police declined to give details of any advice that Mr. Malik might have provided in recent weeks. I think we probably know. His past criticisms of the police, I mean, I can understand that. On this point, Mr. Malik and I are as one. The Met are not fit for purpose. But they do have a few problems, I do admit that too. His past criticisms of the police include stating typical despicable behaviour by Met Police over its handling of a vigil for the murdered Londoner Sarah Everard. Actually, I don't think that the police acted too badly there. There's that nice photo opportunity that red-headed actress provoked them into grabbing her, or she lay down when they had to pick her up because she wouldn't move or something. But it didn't seem to me like they made a complete pig's bottom of that policing instance. He stated dismay about a police horse bolting, and now here I can talk with some authority, and so I'm going to. He stated dismay about a police horse bolting and the police rider getting knocked off it by hitting a traffic light. Yeah, I read about that. Why put police horses in that situation in the first place in the middle of a peaceful protest? And my answer is police horses are very much better than water cannon, and frequently a lot less dangerous. On this occasion, the horse spooked and bolted. I suspect that the rider might not have been as experienced as she could have been. But yeah, well, horses. But why put police horses in a peaceful protest? Maybe it was because they weren't sure it was going to stay peaceful. So it says here, the London, this is on the Met Police site, the London Muslim Communities Forum is a strategic advisory body for the Met. It brings together representatives from London's diverse Muslim communities. When you see that word diverse, I would advise you to be very careful with whatever is said. What does it mean, London's diverse Muslim communities? Anyway, that guy, Mr. Malik, is probably thinking of all Muslim communities as very much not diverse. And judging from the way they were all behaving and have behaved during the current protests, I'd say they're not that diverse either. But they have to put the word diverse in, because diverse means they're right, they're honourable, they're reasonable. No, it's London's Muslim communities. You don't need the diverse, only if you're virtue signalling. Look at me, I'm full of virtue. Okay. And none of its members. Telegraph. None of its members is named. Not one. You see, none is singular. On October the 11th, a statement by the LMCF, which was tweeted by Mr. Cosbar, and I don't know, Cosbar sounds like one of those, sort of chocolate and peanut bars you have after you've been exercising, doesn't it? Sorry. On October the 11th, a statement by LMCF, which was tweeted by Mr. Cosbar and reposted by Mr. Malik, threatened legal action if there was any attempt to ban pro-Palestinian protests and the use of a Palestinian flag. Well, now you know where you stand with those guys. And it was these guys who were advising the Met on how to handle these protests. Well, they call them protests. I do call them something else, but maybe I shouldn't in this video. The Met says, we do not take instructions from advisory groups. Then what's the point? If you're not going to take instructions, what's the point? Oh, but it's nice. You can sit there in a warm office and drink coffee. Or anyone else, and we will always maintain our operational independence. Quite frankly, I'm not so sure. And it's right that we listen to those we serve to build a better Met. I wish they would. All those people in Rochdale, they were supposed to be serving them, weren't they? But we get the idea they were serving another group entirely, don't we? Isn't that funny? Probably got it wrong somewhere along the line. It's understood that representatives of other faiths were present and Mr. Malik did not respond to questions. Well, that's probably going true to form because, well, like many other solicitors, he is on record as telling people who have been arrested to say no comment to absolutely everything. So he's taking his own advice. Okay, well, that's a rundown on Mr. Atiq Malik. Doesn't it make you feel great about the Metropolitan Police, all you Londoners? Till next time.